This video is brought to you by the Raven Space Patreon page. Without your help, we cannot do any of the cool things we do, so Patreon allows you to support us and support independent media. And when you support us, we support you by giving you early access to videos, special giveaways, and even Ravens tickets. So check out the Raven Space Patreon and support today. Welcome to the Raven Space on YouTube. My name is Jason, and this is Raven Space Mailbag, where we answer your questions about the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. We're super excited. Please subscribe to Raven Space on YouTube if you're not yet subscribed for the best Baltimore Ravens videos on the internet. Also, if you want to send your question to the Raven Space Mailbag, please send it to mailbag@theravenspace.com. Again, a special shout out to our Patreon subscribers, because without you guys, none of this would be possible. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work. And now we're going to go to the first question of the day, which comes from Dextro. And Dextro asks, I like how West looked with the running game. Do you think he'll have a breakout year with an improved running game? Thank you so much for your question, Dextro. And I do think he'll have an improved year. I think that he has a chance to break 1,000 yards. Now, he won't be a pro back, like a best back in the league. He won't break 1,300 yards, 1,200 yards, but he can get to 1,000. And that's a great milestone for a good running back, and I think he has a chance to do that. The reason is because I think as the offense gets better, he'll have more chances to run the ball with less people in the box. The Ravens have too many good receivers for the other defense to stack the box all the time. You have to be afraid of Perriman because his speed. You got to be afraid of Wallace because his speed. You got to be afraid of Macklin because his route running and his speed. I think that that's going to force teams to play softer, which is going to give Terrance West room to run. Also, the Ravens have shown a commitment to the running game that we've not seen in the past. Again, last week was a beautiful Ravens offensive performance. When you run the ball, you beat your opponent into submission, and I think that's how the Ravens are going to try to roll the rest of the season. But I think that when you incorporate the passing game more, then you have big plays in the running game, which leads to all those extra yards. So I think that Terrance West has the ability to do that. With Danny Woodhead going down, Terrance West becomes the de facto best back on the team, and when you're the best player, you rise up while all the other ones do not. So I think that he has a chance to be a very productive player for the Baltimore Ravens, and I really do think that if he performs well, he has a chance to wow us and amaze us in a way that I don't know if any other Baltimore Raven running back since Justin Forsett has. That one year he had a big season. So thank you so much for your question, Dextro. Again, I like Terrance West, and hopefully he breaks 1,000 yards this season. But now we're going to move on to the next question, and this question comes from Dom. And Dom asks, who is the worst starter on our defense? It is important to know our weakest link. Thank you so much for the question, Dom. And I agree. It is important to know who our weakest link is, and I think it's Kamalei Correa, the starting inside middle linebacker, opposite of C.J. Mosley, of course. I think that Correa is just very young, youthful, full of potential, but doesn't have the finishing that you need on the middle linebacker, the captain of a defense. I think that he thinks too much, which you see this a lot with younger players. And Judon even had an issue with this last year at the outside linebacker position, where you think too much and then you are late to a play, you miss a tackle, and then someone else has to clean up your mess. I think he has that issue. Honestly, I feel that he's being outplayed by his backup, Patrick Peanut Onsuar. I think Onsuar plays much better zone coverage than he does, and is kind of playing with more instincts and more ability to feel when something's happening and go and make it happen. I don't think Correa has that just yet. Even Dean P stated that he's trying to get both of those players just to play, if they feel it, see ball, get ball type of defense. We need that to happen for Correa if he's going to be the future of the Baltimore Ravens, and I think there's a big chance that he may be. I think that the Ravens like him. He has potential. In college, he was very good at playing the run and also rushing the passer, something that the Ravens haven't had out of a middle linebacker in a long time. I think that if he can get better in zone coverage and start playing with his instincts, he won't be the worst on the team anymore. But as of right now, I think he's the worst starter. Brandon Carr was also in the running for this, but I think Brandon Carr has, hushed up his critics after that first game that he had. So thank you so much for your question. Now we're going to move on to the next question. And this question is from John, and John asks, is Joe Flacco's play hurting the development of Perryman and other receivers? Thank you so much for your question, John. And I see what you're saying. Right now, I would say maybe, but I do not think that it's a ginormous problem. I think that Joe Flacco started slow last week. I think this week he'll get up to speed. This week is a week where you have a chance to flex your offense a little bit. I saw this on NFL Network where they said that the best remedy to a bad team or a bad offense is the Cleveland Browns, right? And so we saw last week with the Steelers and the Browns that even though Le'Veon Bell didn't play in the preseason, he came and Le'Veon Bell was very, very rusty and was not very good last week. But because you're playing the Cleveland Browns, you can get away with a win. I think this is going to happen this week. I think that even though our pass game isn't great, we'll throw the ball a lot more to get Joe Flacco and the receivers on the same page in a game. And then we'll win a game. We'll win the game. But we're going to use it more as a game and also to flesh out some of our concepts in the passing game. So I think you can expect to see a lot of passes here in order to get Perryman up to speed, get Macklin and Joe Flacco on the same connection, get the tight ends on the same connection and up to speed. So I think that's what's going to happen. I like your point. I think your point is valid that if Joe Flacco keeps on playing like this, he hurts how the receivers develop in the long run. So thank you so much for your question. And we're going to move on to the last question of the day. And this question comes from Richard. Was our defense really this good, or was the Bengals offense a step slow? Thank you so much for your question, Richard. And the answer is that our defense is this good. Our defense, in my head now, is the best defense in the league. And we show that dominance. First, the stats-wise, because of the great game we had against the Bengals, we're going to be the top defense in a lot of different categories for a long time. The only one we won't be the top one in is sacks, because the Texans had a great sack day. But in turnovers, getting 5 turnovers, it takes a lot of teams 6-7 games, even more, to get 5 turnovers. So I think that we're going to be just fine as a defense from the stat perspective. But more importantly, the competition perspective is dropped ginormously from what we thought when the season first started. Let me give you an example. We thought the Patriots defense was going to be good. The Patriots defense is not going to be good. They got torched by the Chiefs. And I mean torched by the Chiefs. And they also have to play the best teams in the league because they were a top team last year. So they're going to have some struggles on defense. The Texans, the team that we thought was going to be a great defense, also struggled. They looked terrible. It was just not good. Jacksonville just burnt them up. And that's one thing. The Seahawks that we thought were going to be a good defense, they look good. They played Aaron Rodgers, so they did lose, but they didn't lose because they're a bad defense. So there's some competition. And then, other teams like the Falcons didn't look good against the Bears, right? Stuff like that. So we look good. I think right now we are in first place for the best defense in the league. Not a lot of people are going to talk about us because we are the Ravens and we are defense and we're not Tom Brady and we're not Big Ben and we're not a quarterback throwing team, an exciting team. But in my head, defense is exciting. We're going to be the best defense in the league. Our defense is really this good, guys. I think, in all honesty, has a very big chance to rival the 2000 defense for the Ravens, only if it ends in a championship. You guys have to remember that the 2000 Ravens defense in the regular season wasn't a Hall of Fame level defense. It was good, but it wasn't like an all-time great defense. But the playoffs is where it became an all-time great defense. I think that the Ravens are at a better starting point right now with their defense. And if they can stay healthy, anything can happen, and we can have one of the best defenses of all time with this group. They're perfect. They're built perfectly thanks to Ozzie, and I think we have a real chance to be very, very good. It is the truth. We are this good, and you as a fan and me as a fan are finally turning back to the Ravens defense that we know and that we love. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the end of the Ravens Space Mailbag. please send your questions into mailbag@therravenspace.com. Also, please subscribe to Raven Space on YouTube. If you want to support us and become a Patreon subscriber, check the link down below. We love you guys so much, our Patreon subscribers. So please, check it out. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.